It's just a man. What the bird is barbecuing.
G'day jabronis, this is Verd, back with you again. Welcome here to our Week 8 team builder for the NPL Tampa Bay Frogadiers. We're currently 5-2 up against the 6-1 Phoenix Sunkern, coached by Cheeseboy628. So really big kind of clash of the Titans here, I guess. The way the standing looking, it's very, very tight at the top. Cheese is currently leading the entire conference at 6-1. Gypsy and I are both sitting at 5-2, and then Jolt and Rob are both at 4-3. So really important games coming up. Basic plan that I've said going into this for the entire week is that if I beat Cheese and Jolt loses to Gypsy, I basically have playoffs clinched at that point, which would be phenomenal. But at the same time, I don't know what's going to happen. Like at this point, guys, there's still a very good chance we won't be able to make playoffs even with 5 wins, because we still have to play obviously Cheese coming up, then we play Shardy, and then we play Gypsy. So 3 very hard games to go, but we've been the underdogs all season, and we've shown that we can put in a really solid effort. And I built a team here for Cheese that I feel really confident about. I honestly think it's a really strong team, and honestly, like, it's performed quite well in the mocks with the ideas that I have. So in case you've forgotten, because it has been a while since my last video, the last transactions that I made for the season was that I traded Starmie to Matty Brolick and the Los Angeles Rams, and picked up Hooper Unbound, as you can see Bret Hart there on the screen. And then that meant, since I already had my Dark type, I decided to drop my Umbreon and pick up the Wobbuffet. So Wobbuffet isn't here on this team at all. Was tempted to bring it, but decided against it, and we're going to kind of crack through the team and, you know, the purpose of it all, and kind of break down everything. So Cheese's team, Cheese has been very solid all season, guys. One thing he's done really well is he's highlighted how good Mega Tyranitar is as a Pokemon. Like, everybody just assumes that it's just there for DD and that's like it, but it's so much more versatile than that, and Cheese has really shown that. So I wanted to make sure that I had ways to deal with it, and through a lot of testing I found that this lead Tapu Bulu was really strong. Like, it doesn't look like it's the best lead, but against Cheese's team it was really strong, because most of the time in a lot of my mocks my opponents were leading with either Raikou, Tyranitar, or Donphan. They were the main 3, mainly because these 3 had the best matchup against Nihilego in general. They could all take a hit, and obviously Raikou could Volt Switch out into T-Tar to pressure with the potential Pursuit Trap, which is obviously such a big threat. So this ball is really solid because it just leads against most of the things my opponent will lead with. I doubt he will want to lead with his Amoonguss in this matchup because of the potential threat of Safety Goggles, Nihilego, as well as Hooper Unbound being a lead, or, like, you know, some cheeky Beedrill set. Like, he doesn't want to take unnecessary damage or anything. And I feel he could lead with Swellow, but I do have obviously Nihilego plus Rotom that can deal with Swellow if required. So Bulu just makes a lot of sense because it pressures out the T-Type, prevents early game rocks. And the other cool thing, I guess, with the E-Belt set is that with Swords Dance, I can basically counter the 2 best switch-ins to Bulu on his team, them being Mandibuzz and Amoonguss. Zen Headbutt is doing 96% minimum to Amoonguss, but I need to play carefully in the early game against it, mainly because Amoonguss could have the Pyapa Berry to weaken a Psychic type attack, because I could have brought Psychic Kartana as well as Zen Headbutt Bulu. So because of that, my play is probably going to be leading with Bulu, setting up the SD if he potentially tries to go out to Amoonguss, or what I'll do on my first turn if T-Tar is in against me is I won't reveal the SD, I'll just click Horn Leech, because that way when Amoonguss comes in, I'll be able to scout to see if the Black Sludge recovery happens, because I believe that will happen before the grassy terrain. Not 100% sure on that, but potentially I'll just also just go for an SD and then double out to Hooper, because Hooper can take the Sludge Bomb just fine because it's a Hooper, and then I can pressure from there. So I definitely have exit strategies, but the SD set's just really strong. Like I said, being able to bust through Amoonguss and Mandibuzz is its main job, but also can take hits from things like Manaphy and the Sylveon as well. It doesn't really have a way to hit Heatran, just because I feel Heatran is not the most optimal bring in this matchup. I feel like, although it is a solid Pokemon in general, I have a lot of mons that can just come in against it and beat it 1v1, so I don't know how worth it it's going to be for Cheese in here. But moving on, you have a really cool Nihilego set. Well, I think it's cool at least. I was very much tossing and turning on what I wanted my Nihil Lego set to be this week, and for the longest time I had T-Spikes, but I was finding that Amoonguss was coming in a little bit too easily, and I wasn't really pressuring with T-Spikes enough, and it felt like a wasted turn. So I wanted to be running something that didn't just waste turns, and that's why I've got the dual screens. So in minors, I've got dual screen Zerpatry, and now in majors, I'm running dual screens Nihil Lego, and I feel like in this matchup though, it's really strong. I think it's really unlikely that Cheese is going to bring Defog on his Mandibuzz, and I'll kind of explain that later, but I feel with these dual screens really nice. I can set up a Reflect on the T-Tyre that tries to pursuit me, and I can just stay in quite easily, take that hit, and then fire off a light screen and then potentially die. But because I have the SD Bulu and another setup mon in the back, as well as also Hooper that I can set up, it puts me in a really strong position. So it's more of a mid to late game kind of play. But early game, the main premise of this Nihil Lego set is to get my rocks. As you can see, only running Power Gem, I'm not really looking to attack that much, so I don't actually have any attack investment at all. Well, any special attack investment, sorry. It's more designed to have the 404 HP. I just love having that 404 HP. It's a really nice HP stat to reach. And the 96 in defense allows me to take a lot of hits from things like Swallow, as well as being able to take like a Scald if I need to from Manaphy, being able to set up a light screen as he tries to go for a Scald play potentially. Can be quite clutch. Or if he tries to like tail blow up, obviously, because then I can go out to B and other stuff and deal with it that way if I have to. So I definitely have this exit strategies, but it looks like a really solid mon. Able to take on a lot on his team and should put in a really good amount of work. Also, my main Sylveon switch in if he does bring Sylveon. Although I don't have a way to hit Sylveon, he doesn't know that, so it definitely plays those good mind games with him. Into the other defensive Pokemon I'm bringing this week, and that is my Rotom. Bringing it more physically defensive just because of threats like Swallow and Stoutland. I could have ran this a little bit more specially defensive, but I just feel that there's not a whole need to. Like, his special attackers in this matchup can be dealt with by things like Nihil Lego because of its incredible bulk and then just the general pressure of my team. This set's really strong too, with the Cold Berry, obviously because of T-Tar and Stoutland being able to handle both of those really nicely. Like, Sandrush, Stoutland can't really get through this Rotom set. Pretty stock standard set, not gonna lie, but the EVs, I guess I'm creeping Heatran, just in case I want to get a free Pain Split against it. Obviously it won't like super free because it damaged me, but being able to get health back against that, weakening it for the rest of my mons is really, really nice. And then obviously Willow plus Hex is such a beautiful combination, and Voltage is really nice against this team because his immunity to, well, the cool thing about Rotom, I guess, with his typing is that ground types can't really stop it too much. Like Donphan is another reason why I've got this Rotom set to block that spin, potentially on the rocks, and also the fact that I can just 1v1 Donphan with a combination of Hex, Willow, and Pain Split if I need to. So that's just really nice. Moving on, then we've got Beedrill, and again, it is like the third installment of a Pokemon on my team that has defense investment because Cheese has a lot of very scary physical attackers, and I want ways to deal with them, like really complex ways to deal with them, and this Beedrill set has been designed in that way. So speed-wise, it has enough speed to be able to creep Swallow if it is Jolly, like the spec set potentially. And Poison Jab still knocks that shit out. And then you're probably wondering, Verd, why do you have that much defense in Beedrill? It seems like a lot of defense. And you'd be correct. This much defense is enough that a max attack Adamant Guts boosted Flame Orb Swallow's Quick Attack does 49.8% to Beedrill. And you might be thinking, Verd, it's a really weird like calc to pull. Well, the thing is, guys, I've designed this Beedrill also to take the damage from rocks where it'll be at 51%. So basically, with this investment, I ensure that barring a crit, Beedrill can come in 2 times on rocks and then be able to live a Swallow's quick attack. Because in my most recent mock, that's what lost me the game, was the fact that Beedrill couldn't take that. So if it comes down to that situation, I really want to be able to deal with that. And plus, the extra bulk on B is nice for things like T-Tar as well, that might be running amok. Like under a Reflect, I can take some hits, which is really nice. Also, potentially, like I said, like Swallow on either side of the spectrum. You can take hits from Rotom too, just because of the natural bulk that Beedrill has. It's really nice. But Roost is there also just to heal up. There wasn't really another move I wanted to give it. Poison Jab, Drill Run, and U-Turn basically covers my opponent's entire team. Not really much else to be said about that. And U-Turn's really nice to bring momentum, especially into this guy. So Bret Hart making his debut for the Frogadiers this week, and this set is mainly designed just to disrupt Cheese's team as much as possible. So my main breaker, I guess, of the team is this Hooper, because the whole premise behind it is I want to be able to get this sub up and just start raining down the fire. Because, like I said earlier, with my Bulu, I'm going to lead with that, but if he goes into a Moongus, then my player is going to be going straight into this Hooper, because obviously the sludge bomb won't do too much, pray we don't get poisoned, and if he tries to go for spore, we have safety goggles, we can go for a sub, and then we're in a really strong position, because if he predicts the psychic that goes to Amoongus, either make him waste his pineapple berry, and that's great, or he tries to go out to Mandibuzz, but then I've got Thunderbolt for Mandibuzz, same for Manaphy, and then if he tries to go out to Mega Tita or the Heatran, I've got the Drain Punch. Now you might be thinking, Verd, why are you running Drain Punch on this thing with 72 attack investment but a timid nature? Well, that's because with the timid nature, I'm able to 2-hit KO most Tita variants, and it also means that Foul Play is not going to do as much to my Hooper. If I'm running a hasty nature, Foul Play does an absolute shit ton, guys, because not only do I have more attack investment, I have less defense investment, so much smarter fit around that way. The big problem with Hooper I've found is that it's one of my main Manaphy switches, which is kind of shit because Manaphy could just be running Signal Beam or U-Turn, which makes it pretty tricky, so I've got to play really smart around it, like going into Hooper, then maybe doubling into Nihilego might be my really smart option in this matchup. But this set's really strong again. What I'm creeping, I believe, is a modest Heatran for reasons, but I wanted that attack investment because that just ensures the kill, and then also I think this creeps Tita, sorry. It's definitely creeping Tita, and the main attacks of choice are going to be Thunderbolt and Psychic. It just breaks his best core, which is Amoongus plus Mandibuzz. Drain Punch breaking obviously the Tita as well. It's my best breaker on my team. Yes, things like Swallows, Boom Burst can go through it, but Hooper's Spadef should be able to justify this usage, and I really think the set, if it's under the right circumstances, could pull off some really amazing plays for us. But finally, probably the set that I'm most proud of heading into this matchup is Randy Orton, the Zygarde. So this set was the first one I came up with. I sat down and looked at the matchup and said, yeah, this is going to be something good. So as I mentioned earlier, I don't believe Cheese is going to bring Default or Mandibuzz, because looking at the matchup, his best moveset on Mandibuzz is going to be Foul Play, Roost, Whirlwind, and then he has one last move slot, which I think could be Toxic, could be Heat Wave, could be U-Turn for the Hooper, could be Brave Bird for the Bulu, but I don't think it'll be Default, because Rocks against me is really solid. He has no reason to get rid of them, I don't think, so that's why Screens I feel will be really strong, and it's why this Sub-Zygarde set is going to be really good, because the other move he could have is Taunt. I don't think Taunt's that great for him, because there's not a lot that Mandibuzz outspeeds, but this Zygarde set is really strong because I can sub up on like the Mandibuzz coming in to try and check me, and then I can proceed to go for the Dragon Tail. Now, for those of you who don't understand the mechanic of it, Dragon Tail, if two Pokemon are using moves, they'll switch each other out. So say Mandibuzz goes for Whirlwind and I go for Dragon Tail. Whichever of the two Moms outspeeds gets their move off first. So because I've designed this Zygarde to outspeed like Heatran, but it should also outspeed any Mandibuzz that he brings, I'll be able to consistently Dragon Tail out the Mandibuzz and prevent it from being able to stop my Zygarde. So I can Dragon Tail that out, and then he goes into Heatran. Perfect, I'm chilling behind a sub. I don't give a shit about Heatran. I could just coil up, or I could just drop 1,000 arrows, kill the Heatran. It just puts me in such a solid spot. With Coil, it also means that I can set up to a point where Donphan can't do anything to me, where Swallow, if it isn't especially offensive set, can't do shit to me. So it puts me in a really, really strong position overall, guys. And this set effectively, if used right, can just rip through his entire team. Dragon Tails is really good to shut down potential Tailbone Manaphy. Like if he feels this is the part of the game where he can set up a win, then obviously being able to shut that down is huge with Zygarde. And I feel so overall, sorry, the investment. I forgot to talk about the investment. So with that amount of HP, well, with any HP investment that I had, it would be able to live in a Amoongus Ski Drain, but on the off chance he brought some investment, I can deal with that. But the main reason why I have that HP and the defense and the attack the way it is because with that combined investment, Zygarde does not have its substitute broken by Mandibuzz Foul Play. And that's huge. That means I can set up my subs, I can coil, and not fear Mandibuzz breaking that substitute. That is massive, guys. It means that I can set up in Mandibuzz's face, potentially, and just run through his team. The lefties obviously is going to get me my health back. I can take a lot of hits from a lot of mons and hit super hard back with my attacking moves. So this Zygarde set is probably the main win con. Like, don't get me wrong, being able to bust through his team with Bully plus Hooper is great, and Beedrill can definitely clean. But this Zygarde is by far the best win con on my team, especially later in the game, after all like the shenanigans have happened and like rocks are up and everything, being able to phase things out, and then also being able to just generally wall some stuff when you set up so much recoil, or just being able to pick off some massive threats that have to force themselves to break your sub and then kill them is just so huge in this game. So this Zygarde set is very, very important. But discussing kind of the threats, I guess, for Cheese's team, the main one, I guess, is just the late game. It's the area of my game that I've always struggled with, is seeing what my best option or path to victory is, where I tend to overthink it a bit, looking at like what my best option going forward will be, like making sure I assess everything that happens and choosing the right path. But I guess Mons that are obviously scary. Manaphy is obviously a threat. Like, I'm not bringing in Empoleon because I feel like he's going to bring somewhere on Manaphy to deal with Empoleon, because obviously Raw Empoleon makes a shit ton of sense, so I think he'll bring something to deal with that. Gypsy was mentioning like he could bring Z Mudslap because that's a shit ton to Empoleon and might just knock it out, so there is potential for that. So when it comes to Manaphy, my way of beating it is just as much pressure as possible, preventing tail blows as much as I can, but also I guess finding solace in the fact that I have Light Screen from Nihilego if I need it, as well as being able to outspeed with Beedrill and pressure with things like Bulu and Hooper. It's just going to be like one of those mons where it's where the early rocks are super important, but I'm still going to lead Bulu regardless against him because it just matches up well against everything, and if he isn't Pyapari, then I can just knock out him just so easily, which is great, and I can scout that really early too, because the other player that works really nicely actually is going, oh sorry, my just got one off there, I thought I'd put it on stream mode, but I hadn't. The other nice player is leading Bulu as he goes into Amoonguss, going into Beedrill, getting off the Mega, going for the U-turn, because the Sludge Bomb will do nothing to B either, so it's really solid there. So pretty happy with how the team looks, guys. Honestly, it's going to be a tricky matchup for sure, but you know, I respect Cheese, I respect how good he is at the game, and it's a really important match because I currently have a similar differential to him. Like, he's a little bit higher, but if I can get a win here, it can bring us both back to around the same differential, and potentially, like, if we win out our last 3 games, we will probably top the conference, which is kind of wild. Who the hell has the nerve to keep... Oh, Uzi. Okay. But that's basically the team, guys. I'm not going to ramble on about it anymore. You will see it in the battle. I'm pretty nervous for this one because it's just a huge game, and I really want to put my best foot forward heading into potential playoffs, because this game, if I win it, almost clinches me playoffs, and I'd really like to see that happen. But regardless, that's going to do it for me. If you enjoyed, make sure you like this video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and don't forget also to check out all the other team builders everybody's been doing, all the coaches and whatnot, and be ready for tomorrow when I upload my battle video for this. But anyway, guys, I'm the Verd, and that's